Good morning, all. This is John, aka JB3, and this is Pays to Be Polarizing. On today's segment, we're going to go into my brain injury part 2. It's kind of a long story, so I'll give you a little bit at a time, and won't try and just drown you with all of it in one segment. We left off the last time. I was telling you about how I was taken to the hospital and I was in a coma. What I neglected to mention was that for the first 58 and a half hours, I registered a 3 or less on the Glasgow coma scale. The Glasgow scale is that which monitors your brainwave activity. 3 being the minimum that you can have. And I will tell you that this was gravely concerning to my family, of course, because that low brainwave activity says that one of two things are going to happen. You're not going to wake up, or you're not going to live. To let you know that the first night I was given less than 2% chance of survival is pretty grim. I'll admit that. When I was released from the hospital about 6 months later, I saw one of the doctors assigned to my case, and he told me that I was the one color they hate to see when someone comes into the ER, because a lot of doctors were put on call that night, thanks to my good friend being the chair of surgery at UMass. He called everyone once he got the news that I had been in an accident, and I was ashen gray when I went to the ER. Anyone knows about anything medical, this is kind of good color. I'm Irish, so I'm kind of pale. It's also wintertime here, and so I'll be pale for a while, then I'll turn red, then I'll peel. So I have my 3 shades. But to get back to the serious part, I was ashen gray, which is definitely not a good color to be when you go into the emergency room, because it's pretty much saying that you're not going to live. So that had to be tough on my family as well. And I'll tell you that the reason why I chose today to do part 2 is because Monday was the anniversary, and today was the day I finally woke up. I woke up probably about 5 hours ago on that day back 27 years ago. A couple of things with me waking up was that they realized that I couldn't talk. I had aphasia, and they thought it was going to be permanent. They didn't know if I'd ever get my voice back. I was also right side limited, almost paralyzed. I couldn't use my right side at all. Could not bear weight, could not lift or raise my hand, could not do anything. That was another thing that, as I was in and out of consciousness from that point, they still were not sure what would come back or what wouldn't come back. After a few days, I started to regain speech, but it was still sporadically aphasic. I would just lose the ability to talk. I would have words that I would be thinking, I guess, but they wouldn't come out. So that had to be another interesting part. And my family didn't know if that was something that was going to get better or worse. The doctors did not know. Even based on my waking up, they just didn't have an idea. So there was that. But I know some people that probably enjoyed that time when I couldn't talk, because I like to talk now. I've always liked to talk, and so to hear me silent or to watch me be silent had to be kind of refreshing and almost relieving for some, but at the same time probably not. I make a lot of jokes about my injury because it's what gets me through my days a lot of times, and that's in everything in life. I like humor. I think dark humor is funny to me. I find people that have, the more dark jokes they tell, the more we'll get along. If they just tell, the why did the chicken cross the road joke, we're not going to get along. But if they have something really dark that they think is funny, including one of the ones that I called myself, gave myself an acronym, and that's one thing that people know me as well, is that I'm famous for my TLAs, or my 3-letter acronyms. We live in a world of 3-letter acronyms, and I make them up for everybody. That's how I remember them now. The one thing you'll see me doing here is you'll hear me pause. And the reason why I pause is because there are times I got to start to speak that I start to speak very quickly. And that's something I have to monitor constantly because of my brain injury. I lose control of that speech pattern, and I start to speak very, very quickly. And being from Massachusetts, we speak quickly anyway. And adding to my brain injury would just exacerbated that condition for me. I lose track of what I'm saying sometimes and get tongue twisted quite often by words, and then I have to think about, what did I just say? So I can imagine what other people are saying, what did he just say? For sure. But so back to my original point, which was the waking up in the hospital on today, about, I don't know, like I said, about 5 hours ago. Totally right side paralyzed, unable to talk, probably very confused, because the one thing about me from day one that I recall anyway is that I was very aware of everything going on around me, and very aware of who was there, what was there, what I could do, what I couldn't do, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't do it. And that still continues to this day. I look at things I can do. I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful, very thankful for those things. But I miss the things that I used to be able to do that I can't do now. I miss being able to play sports. I now just work out for fun because it's about what I can do. I can run a 5K. Yay. I don't like to run, but I'll still run one every once in a while just to show that I can still run a 5K. I keep myself in shape by going to the gym, an F45. As a matter of fact, I love that workout. One of the best workouts I've ever done in my life. And just enjoy just being around people because it's a group class style setting. Back to the brain injury. See, because I get distracted sometimes too, and that's just happened there. So I spent the next 8 days in intensive care at UMass with a one-on-one person sitting with me to make sure if I happen to get out of bed or fall out of bed, that they were there to help me. I did have one incident while I was there where I was using the bathroom, I guess, and I fell. I don't know how that could happen because someone was supposed to be with me for all that time, but it did. Fortunately, I did not hit my head because it could have been a lot worse. So after those 8 days, I was then transferred to a long-term rehab, an acute rehab facility up on the North Shore of Mass, in Braintree. And I spent my next 6 weeks there learning how to talk, do basics, and hopefully walk again. And that was where I kind of had my fight or flight moment for sure. I was very depressed, of course, because I was aware. And again, that's the hardest part, because most people who receive my type of brain injury, one, they don't survive. Two, if they do survive, they're in a vegetative state. And if they get beyond that, they're not aware of everything that happened to them or everything they've lost. At least that's the perception. And the studies show that that's something that they don't ever get back. They just are a different person completely because of an injury they received. For me, I didn't lose anything except my memory. I literally was a person, like, trying to think, 50 First Dates. You picture Drew Barrymore when she goes through a whole thing of every day everything resets. For me, it was every 30 seconds everything reset. If you came into my room when I first woke up, I would say, "Hey, thanks for coming." And if I turned away and turned back, I'd say, "Hey, when did you get here?" Turned away again. "Hey, thanks for coming." And it was just an ongoing cycle, which had my family quite worried because they did not know if this was going to change either. The doctors had no idea. So they just hoped that it would get better, but again, didn't know if it would get better. It was all a matter of my timing and ability to heal. One thing that I guess that I was, according to my family, these are all memories they have, none that I have, because I have zero from my time. I won't say zero, I should say. I have one small memory of somebody sitting next to me in a room at UMass. I don't know who it is. I don't know why they were there. But I remember just them being next to my bed. I have a few memories from the rehab, but the memories I have are all things that still stand true today for me, for memories. Unless you make an impact on me, I'm not going to remember you. That still happens now. I'm a person who knows every childhood phone number from when I was a kid, but I can't tell you what I had for lunch yesterday. Very bizarre, very weird. And that's one of the things when I went to the rehab, I had to learn how to remember things and learn how to prioritize things and learn how to do all the things that would get me back into a normal cycle of life. The original plan was for me to be sent to the rehab to see if I could be able to maintain on my own,
And if not, I would have been taken to a long-term care facility where I'd spend the rest of my days. I guess I didn't like that option, so I chose to work as hard as I could and get myself out and back into the real world with people that I could depend on and just make a new life, whatever that life was going to be. I will tell you that I think the hardest part for anybody, especially for me, is that my memory from 1995 moving forward is the most vacuous spot of my entire brain. I have nothing there really. I have dribs and drabs at most, but I can tell you things I did when I was, in kindergarten, in second grade, and all the way up until 1995, and then everything disappears. I have very sporadic memories of one of my best friends who succumbed to leukemia, unfortunately. I was married, and I have no recollection of that at all. If I look at pictures, it does prompt some, but not much. And that had to be hard on my then partner because we did not stay together, and there were other reasons about that as well. I can go into that another time, but this is not about that. This is about the memory and not being able to have certain things in place. So I spent those 6 weeks at the rehab center, New England Rehab, up in Woburn, sorry, not Braintree, Woburn, learning how to talk, learning to do my executive functioning all over again, which still to this day I struggle with, I will say that, and learning how to walk. And that was an entertaining piece in itself. But I think that's enough for today. I'm awake, which is good. I'm looking forward to, I don't know, back then I was looking forward to nothing because I had no idea. I know I had an MRI on the day I was transferred from the hospital to the rehab center. I remember that day. I remember taking an ambulance trip up to the MRI facility, which was a mile and a half away from the hospital I was at. I remember a female ambulance attendant, driver, probably a paramedic, and then I don't remember the driver. I remember going to the MRI center. So there's things that come back. It's just bizarre what the memories are that I do have. I'll talk a little bit more about my stay in the rehab and how that went on my next edition. If you like this content, please hit the like button, comment if you will as well. I hope to do a live soon, and it'll probably be about this, and anyone can come and ask me questions about it, which is perfectly fine. But like and subscribe and comment if you would. I'd much appreciate it. Again, this is John, aka JB3, for It Pays to Be Polarizing. Have a good day.